The first charge clamped onto the outer hatch of Dome 4 while I still had my hand on his splinted wing. I didn't stop wrapping it. 10 minutes, the comm channel said, breaching clear, hostile contraband suspected, all quarantine staff to shelter in place. I wasn't sheltering anywhere. I had Vale curled against my ribs in the back alcove of the med bay, behind the crated saline, and I was not leaving him for a strike team that thought my dome was a smuggler's depot. 6 weeks before, he'd come down out of a meteor storm with the rest of the debris, a fist-sized scrap of ash grayscale and torn membrane that the perimeter sensors logged as biomass, unidentified, recommend incineration. I'd pulled him out of the intake chute myself before anyone else saw the readout. His left wing strut was snapped clean through. He hadn't made a sound the whole time I said it, just watched me with eyes like wet slate, and something in my chest had simply refused to let him be a line item. I'd fed him out of my own ration packs. Spliced a heat coil under a supply cot so the medbay's environmental logs wouldn't flag a temperature anomaly. Taught myself to read the difference between his hungry chirp and his lonely one. None of it was in any chart. All of it would have ended with him bagged and tagged the moment Director Calloway found out we were 6 weeks past our last unlogged biomass purge. Now there was a strike team coming through my hatch with that exact purge in mind, just wearing different paperwork. Tamsin, report your position. That was Reyes, second shift, his voice gone tight over the comm. They're saying live ordnance, they're saying it's been hidden in environmental systems. I'm in medbay, sealed and clear, I said, which was true the way a held breath is true. The dome's outer corridor lights flickered green to amber as the team cracked the hatch and started inward. I could hear it through the floor before I heard it through the comm boots, the particular hard rhythm of people moving room to room with weapons up. Vale felt it too. His claws found my sleeve and held on. Easy, I told him, low, the same tone I'd used the night I'd reset his wing. Easy. Quiet now. He'd learned that word. 6 weeks of low voices in an empty med bay teach a creature things faster than people expect. He went still against me, wing tucked, breath shallow, and I thought, not for the first time, that he trusted me more than my own command did. The team hit the lab wing 4 minutes in. I knew because Reyes's voice cracked through again, asking someone named Bray for instructions on a reading they couldn't explain, a heat signature, organic, denser than the supply manifest accounted for. My heat coil. My 6 weeks of careful, illegal warmth, lighting up on somebody's scanner like a confession. Negative contact, just equipment drift, I said over the open channel, before anyone could ask me directly. It wasn't my call to make. I made it anyway. A pause. Then a man's voice, flat and unhurried in a way that scared me worse than shouting would have. This is Captain Bray. All quarantine personnel, identify your position and stand by for clearance. I didn't answer. I picked Vale up instead, wing and all, and moved him from the alcove into the bottom of the supply locker, packed saline crates around him like sandbags, and pulled the door most of the way shut. He made a sound when I let go of him, not loud, just a thin questioning note, and I had maybe 4 seconds to decide whether 4 seconds of comfort was worth what it might cost both of us. I stayed. I put my hand flat against the locker door and waited with him. The boots reached the medbay's outer hall at the 7-minute mark. I heard Bray's voice again, closer now, giving floor-clear callouts in that same level cadence, and under it, fainter, Reyes arguing that the scan profile didn't match ordnance, that it read warm and alive and small, and being told to stand down and let the breach team finish the sweep. 3 minutes. I did the math on it the way I'd done math on his wing strut healing, on his weight gain, on every quiet thing I'd tracked these 6 weeks that wasn't in any official file. 3 minutes was not enough time to argue my way out of a quarantine charge, a falsified log charge, and whatever they'd call hiding an unidentified organism from a joint command sweep. It was enough time to decide I didn't care. Reyes found me with 1.5 minutes left on the clock, came around the corridor corner with his own sidearm drawn and his eyes wide, and for 1 bad second I thought he'd seen the heat bloom too. He hadn't. He'd come to pull me out before the breach team reached Med Bay, because in 5 years of working this dome together he'd never once known me to leave a patient mid-treatment, and he assumed, wrongly and with a kind of loyalty I didn't deserve, that I had one now. "There's no patient, Tamsin, there's nothing logged," he started, and stopped, because I'd put myself in front of the supply locker without meaning to, the way you put your hand over a wound before you've decided to. He looked at the locker. He looked at me. Then he said, "I didn't see that," turned around, and went to go slow the breach team down by 60 seconds he didn't have to give me. The medbay door took the next breach charge. Light and Grit came through first, then 4 shapes in hard armor, rifles up, sweeping the room with the kind of efficient violence that has nothing personal in it at all. I stepped between them and the locker before I'd finished deciding to. "Hands where I can see them," someone said. I lifted both hands, slow, and didn't move my feet. Bray came through last, scanner already up, reading the heat bloom behind me. I watched him clock it, watched the muzzle of his weapon drift half an inch toward the locker, and I said the only true thing I had left. "It's a hatchling. Wings broken. I've had him 6 weeks and he's never hurt anyone, and if you put a round through that door you're putting it through me first." Nobody moved for a second that felt considerably longer than a second. Bray's scanner beeped a soft, almost apologetic confirmation, organic signature, single source, no weapon profile, no explosive trace. He lowered the rifle 2 inches. "Just 2. "Open it," he said. Slow. I opened the locker. Vale was pressed into the corner of it, scales raised, wing dragged half across his face the way he did when he was frightened past chirping, and for one terrible beat I thought the sight of him, small, scaled alien, utterly indefensible by any military logic, would be exactly the thing that got him killed. Instead Bray crouched down to his level and went quiet himself. That was when the dome's exterior alarm changed pitch, not the breach team's frequency, something older, something that made every soldier in the room flinch and turn toward the dome's skylight at once. Outside, daylight bent strange around a shape coming down slow and unhurried out of a clear sky, no weapons run, no formation, just one creature descending like she had nowhere else more important to be. She was gold bronze where Vale was ash gray, scaled in plates that caught the light like old coin, and when she landed in the outer yard the ground didn't even shake. Bray's people went to the windows. I stayed where I was, between the captain and the boy I'd spent 6 weeks pretending was just an inventory error. "That's the Ashvale voice," Reyes said into the comm, reading it off some database I didn't know we had. "Calyx. Diplomatic registry. She's not hostile, she's been requesting search clearance on this sector for months. Calyx didn't come in with an honor guard. She came in alone, ducking the doorframe, and the medbay went very still around her. Her eyes found Vale first, then me, then the locker, then the careful, amateur splint still wrapped around his wing, and something in her bearing eased the way a held breath finally lets go. "He answered a call 6 weeks old," she said, in a voice that didn't need volume to fill the room. We had nearly stopped hoping anyone would hear it. She didn't kneel. She lowered her head until her eyes were level with mine, which from a creature her size was somehow a greater courtesy than any bow would have been, and she said his true name once, soft, like she was returning something borrowed. "Vale, Valeth, 2nd of the Ashvale line, thrown clear of a courier flight in the same storm that should have killed him," pressed his small scarred head against my hand one more time before he let her gather him in. Bray stood the raid order down without anyone telling him to. Nobody read me my rights or my termination. Calloway, when he finally arrived, found a strike captain and a diplomatic envoy both standing in his medbay agreeing that the unlogged biomass charge could wait. Calyx asked nothing of me beyond what I'd already given. No title, no posting, no ceremony, just a long look and a promise, low enough that only I heard it, that Vale would be brought back this way again, openly, the next time the Ashvale Dominion had business on the rim. He has been. Twice now. He's bigger each time, steadier on that wing, and he still goes quiet the instant I lower my voice, like 6 weeks taught him something neither of us has bothered to unlearn.